All right, man. Welcome to another episode, Convos in the Pedicab, with my friend Hernando Arce. He's a citizen journalist. He does a lot of really good work. He goes to the border and confronts a lot of the NGOs for kind of enabling this border crisis, as well as kind of exposing the immigration pipeline.
Right.
So obviously, this is a big issue.
Right.
You know, we got 10,000 plus people a day crossing over. This is, you know, under different time periods, you might call this an invasion. And it's important to put this into context because this is a big issue, and we got to talk about this like grown-ups to figure out like how you can get involved in not only stopping this, but making it so that the immigration that we experience occurs at a level that is sustainable and helps the country.
Absolutely. And first of all, thank you, Alex Stringer.
Yes, sir.
For inviting me to your show. I'm excited to be here sitting on your lovely, colorful pedicab.
This isn't my lovely pedicab. This is my friend Emily's lovely pedicab, and she actually helped me set my garden up. So shout out, Emily.
Yes.
There we go.
And we're recording here on the east side of Austin, Texas.
Yes, sir. We are in the east side of Austin, Texas. So I didn't know this, but you're also a New York City refugee as well.
That's right. I'm a political refugee from New York City.
When did you move?
I escaped 10 years ago.
Bro, me too. I moved in August of 2013 to Austin.
I left August of 2014.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, so where did you live in New York?
Brooklyn.
All right. You seem like a Washington Heights kind of guy.
I'm not Dominican.
Yeah.
Que la vaina loco. Que la vaina. No, I'm Colombian.
All right. Okay.
So, yeah, I still got a place out there in Brooklyn. I rent out.
All right. Yeah, I grew up in Riverdale, so I live with my mom and dad until
Riverdale.
I moved out here. So.
Oh, that's the west side of Manhattan.
No, it's the Bronx, actually.
The Bronx,
but it's
yeah,
a part of the Bronx
by the
where
west part.
Everybody looks like me there.
Yeah.
But, dude, New York's a scam.
Yeah.
New York's a scam.
It is.
You pay $2,000 a month to live in a shoebox with 5 roommates in the middle of the hood, and you got to worry about getting stabbed on your way home from work, and you don't have to go to church because some crackhead on the D train is already giving a sermon anyway. So that's unfortunately where you're at in a place like that. And
I like to say that when I left, New York City lost its soul.
Yeah, because you left
lost its
immediately.
soul.
And there's a direct correlation.
Yeah.
It's crazy though because I know we're gonna talk about the border and immigration, but like, dude, when I was in New York, I was telling people like. People laughed at me when I said I was going to move to Austin, and I was saying that like, listen, like, there's no incentive to being here. Like this, you know, it's like running on a hamster wheel forever, and it's a communist shithole living in New York, and people just didn't see it. They didn't care. You know, people would ask, "Why'd you move to Texas from New York?" And I'm like, well, looking ahead, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, New York City is the capital of the world, I think, still for a lot of different fashion, Wall Street, broadcasting. But, yeah, the cost of living is ridiculous. And, you know, these communist mayors that have run in the last 15, 20 years have really destroyed it, unfortunately. Long gone are the days of Rudy Giuliani. And I remember those days because I drove a yellow taxi cab when I was in college. My mother owned a yellow cab.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
all right.
And
I'm a pedicab, so we're kind of in the similar boat. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She supported 7 children by herself, my mother. Never took
way.
a dollar of food stamps.
What? Wow.
Yeah, so I know the city very intimately because as a cab driver, you roam those streets at 4 o'clock in the morning. So I have a love-hate relationship with New York City. All I miss is the pizza and the bagels.
Oh, facts. Dude, the pizza's great. Well, although it's kind of gotten so corporatized now, like going back to New York, they don't even have like the mom and pop, like greasy Italians making pizza. Now
no.
it's all corporate.
Nah, yeah, it's all Olive Garden.
It's so disgusting. Were you a Yankee fan or Met fan?
I was a Yankee fan.
Yeah, okay.
Sure.
All right. Me too, dude. I grew up. Jeter, I was like 10 years old during Jeter's rookie year.
Yep.
Went to like a whole bunch of games and stuff like that. Mariana, Paul O'Neill. Dude, that was a squad.
Yep, they were great. You know, Mario Rivera.
Mariano Rivera.
It's been a while.
It's been a minute, dude. It's been a minute, right?
Yeah. Good times.
But yeah, you know that
Right.
the changing demographics, though, look. You don't want the place. One of the things I realized when I moved out here is that you really got to make a concerted effort to make it so that the place that you moved to does not turn into the place that you moved from.
Right.
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 And I feel as though what you're dealing with the border, it's one of many ways that they're trying to turn where we live right now, or turn the rest of the country into another New York City, LA/San Francisco.
Oh, well, that's their plan, and we're very close to losing Texas.
Yes, we are, but I don't think it's all because of immigrants. So we'll get to that later.
Of course.
But what made you want to get started with all this?
Well, like I mentioned, being that we lived in New York City, my neighborhood of Elmhurst, Queens, Corona, Queens, overnight, actually slowly changed in where I didn't notice my neighborhood anymore, and because of illegal immigrants coming into my community. And this is going back 10, 15 years during the Obama days. So what did I do 10 years ago? I pulled out my phone and I started recording on the streets of Queens, New York. I still have the YouTube channel. It was called Border Patrol USA. And so my passion for this here illegal alien invasion is gone for over 10 years because this is a national security issue.
It is. What makes this a national security issue?
Well, there's something called borders.
Well, yes, but what are the specific concerns? Because a lot of times, you gotta, when dealing with this issue, right? You want to have as large of an audience as possible.
Right.
And you want the audience to consist of more people than the guys wearing MAGA hats going to Trump rallies and being like super conservative. Because this actually is an issue that affects everybody.
That's right.
And if everybody is going to take it seriously, the general public has to understand why this is an area of concern. Mm-hmm. So as somebody who's at the border and sees what's going on, why is this such a big area of concern?
Well, a famous economics professor named Milton Friedman once said back 40 years ago, that you cannot have an open border and an open welfare system in our country because that will overwhelm the system. It's called the Cloward-Piven strategy, which I'm sure you're aware of, Alex. And that shouldn't be a party issue because this here invasion is going to come to everyone's doorstep because this new wave of illegals is going to replace the American working class and blue-collar workers, and especially the blacks and whites. So to answer your question, it really comes down to economics.
And when you started documenting the flow of illegal immigrants in your neighborhood, how was that received in your community in New York?
Well, I got looked at a lot. I got people chasing me. I got video of that. It was it's mostly a Latin community. So, I wasn't as aggressive as I am now with these NGOs.
Well, it's a little bit different too when these are your people. They kind of understand, right? And when somebody you're going to be more well received than some white guy going into the neighborhood doing that because you live in the neighborhood, you're part of the community, you can relate to people in the community. I think that actually does.
Right. Well, I was wearing a custom Border Patrol hat and a custom Border Patrol shirt.
Okay.
And people would run away from me like I was.
Well, you probably should have worn something different so you blend in a little bit,
I did blend in, but yeah. It's Obama started this here mess. A lot of people don't realize that, but it was started with Obama when he gave our policy on DACA. DACA, Deferred Action Children Act. Given these, basically, back then it was 5 million children that from the 90s and 2000s that are already mature human people now, pretty much amnesty. They weren't going after them. So.
If you came when you were 5 from a family, you're kind of like.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that could be, I could see how this can get abused. Although there are also a lot of DACA kids that came in here really being super patriotic, loving America, that would contribute to the foundations of what it means to live here. And so you do have to also be selective when it comes to reversing that, who that gets reversed under.
Yes.
If that makes sense, right? Like if you get a valedictorian who who is passionate about Austrian economics, and you know what I mean, and wants public safety or something, wants better public safety and is going to get a scholarship to play baseball or football or something like that. There should be a way for that kid that loves America and shows a commitment to America to want to stay here. And there should be some kind of pathway to allow that. But at the same time, if you're a DACA kid and you're just a habitual criminal, yes, you should probably go. Right. And there's got to be a middle ground, I think, to figure out how to address that.
Well, that kind of
that makes sense. Yeah.
That kind of scholar is very small percentage. All these millions and millions of illegals that have come into our country, we don't know where they are. They're in the shadows. They've been in the shadows for 30 years. They're not all here to pick your tomatoes, Alex.
Well, no shit.
Yeah. So you know how many crimes are committed every year by these illegals? To ask the Angel Family. There's an organization called Angel Families.
Yeah.
And they have blankets every time an illegal kills an American citizen, either by drunk driving, domestic abuse, or just murdering, criminals. It happens every day. People don't talk about it. Unfortunately, governments can't take legal statistics. Your city, your county, your state are not allowed to take statistics on whether that criminal was legal or illegal.
What?
So it's hard to catch that data. Yes, sir.
Why would they do that? They should kind of have that metric, right?
It's not. There is no metric.
Like
for that.
not a citizen, non-citizen. Like they don't show that.
No, they can't. Well, maybe that, but they don't designate whether the person's legal or illegal in the country.
Wow. Yeah, that's probably not good. They should probably fix that.
Absolutely.
So my and look, also when it comes to the illegal stuff, the person who really spearheaded this was actually Ronald Reagan.
Right. I remember that.
Because he was the one that gave amnesty to a bunch of illegal
3
aliens,
million.
and that effectively turned California blue, which effectively has kind of
Good point.
created a lot of the policies that we're dealing with, a lot of the problems
Right.
that we're dealing with right now because of,
Yeah.
the biggest danger I feel to the republic that we're living in and the rights and values that come with living in America. It's actually, people think it's Democrats, but it's actually Republicans who pretend to be conservatives that stab you in the back.
Well, yes. Regarding immigration?
Yeah, everything, yes.
Okay.
That's what I feel.
Well, I always tell my audience that both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, both of those parties got us into this mess
Yes.
because the Democrat wants to vote and the Republican Party, they want the cheap labor.
They want the cheap labor.
Right.
Yes.
And that's why we never had a war in 40 years. And Ronald Reagan did give amnesty to 3 million illegals, but the deal was we were supposed to have a secure border, like build a wall. And that didn't happen until Bush Jr. came along. He built a partial wall and then stopped in 2006. And then, of course, the man up here in my hat, Trump, came along and
Well, we're going to talk about Trump because
Did a
Trump
better
actually
job.
deported less people than Obama and Bush
well, yes and no.
during his presidency.
That's been gerrymandered, those number two. But I'll explain.
We should explain that. Yeah.
I could do that for you.
I think Trump is a great symbol.
Of course.
We'll talk about that later on
All right.
in this episode. We'll talk about that later
Sounds-
on in this episode.
All right.
Because I want to highlight the work that you're doing
Sure.
and why this is a problem, and not argue with you about who the best candidate in the
No,
Republican.
we're
Not
just-
argue with you about who the best
We're
Republican
having
candidate
a civil
is.
discussion
Yes.
on the pedicab.
Yes, exactly.
Alex.
Yes. My view on the immigration thing, and you're the one who travels and confronts people, right?
Yes.
Well, actually, let's backtrack. Have you actually done a route? Because I've seen Anthony Rubin on Alex Jones.
Right.
Have you ever done one like something similar to what he's done?
Traveled on a death train? No, thank you. You see these shoes? These are Ferragamo shoes. No, I haven't traveled.
You haven't? Okay. Have you ever gone across the border to Mexico and kind of like done a crossing or seen what it's like on the other side?
No, thank you.
No. So what is the extent to what you've done? What is the actual extent to what you've done?
For your followers who are not familiar, I get most of my content is done in my town of San Antonio, Texas.
Okay.
I live 5 miles from a migrant welcoming center. I call it the American Replacement Center.
Okay.
I have traveled to Eagle Pass and
Yeah,
McAllen
I've seen that.
and
Yes,
Brownsville,
yes.
Laredo, but in the American side. So
Yeah.
that's
You've never gone to okay.
No.
And so, but have you seen the actual crossings?
Yes.
So, and when you see the crossings, what happens? Like, what do you see when these crossings occur?
Well, there's a river called the Rio Grande.
Okay.
And for the most part, for your audience to understand, the Rio Grande is the borderline for most of Texas border towns. And so they did that strategically, 150 years ago when they made the borders. So when I see these illegals crossing the river, it's very dangerous. The currents are very strong.
Yeah.
And then we have once they hit a certain sector of that river, you're in American territory. It's the Custom Border's job to bring you in. They can't tell you to leave.
They can't. So, if you just cross into the Rio Grande River
Right.
and you're totally illegal, you could be God knows what. They have to give you amnesty in America.
Well, an amnesty, that's a whole different
Well, I
topic.
mean, they have to give you shelter and help you get into America.
They will apprehend you. Those are called apprehensions. Custom Border Patrol, and then they process you because you did not come in through a port of entry and you came without inspection. Those are the legal terms.
But then why would they even do that to process? Well, I can see why, because they don't want you sneaking in with no documentation, so they kind of have to.
Well, these are the ones that come in through the river.
Yes.
These are undocumented.
Yeah.
These are catch and release illegal aliens.
Okay, and then when they get processed, what happens
Right.
to them after they get processed?
Well, that's a great question, Alex, because I'm sure you and your audience have seen all these illegals in the airport carrying those yellow envelopes,
Yeah.
those big yellow envelopes. those are the documents that Custom Border Patrol and ICE has given them
Okay.
when they were processed at the border.
Okay.
I've read those documents online on a camera several times. I just approached them and I said, okay, can I read your documents?
What does the document say?
And they say they just open up and show it to me. So documents show, first page, that they have been arrested.
Okay.
That they have no status in the country. They are not here on probation. They're fingerprinted. Now that's important, and photographed, because
Right.
that's geometrics.
Okay.
There's the government. Our government is checking to see if these illegals have any criminal records in our country. They're not checking to see if they have any criminal records in the country they came from or the country they've been living in.
Well, because how would they? That seems like it would almost be
you
impossible.
can't.
Like, I don't see how you can cross
there is no. Well, that's the whole thing of immigration. Legal immigration, they would check those backgrounds during legal immigrations. It's the ones that are coming here illegally. There's no checking of those backgrounds.
They're
not. Yeah,
there is no
they're not
checking,
vetted.
and it
Right.
almost makes you think that if God forbid, a terrorist attack would occur, something really bad would happen, they might, have to put some database in place, some digital kind of database in place where everybody has to have some kind of a digital identification where the privacy that's been eroded, it's already a concern. Right. And some of these stipulations that might happen as a result of another, God forbid, terrorist attack occurring, it could threaten to erode your privacy completely, just like with these vaccine passports.
Kind of like the Patriot Act. Is that what you're going at?
Yeah.
But for the migrants, not us.
Well, but then it affects it's for everybody, right? Because everybody needs a digital. Everyone's going to need some kind of a digital password. Now you're going to have to connect a digital. Now you need an interconnected system of digital identification.
Okay.
And if it's interconnected, then it can only be interconnected if everybody has this new digital identification. So.
Right. That's a whole different topic, but yes.
Well, but I think that a lot of this uncontrolled migration kind of can lead to something like this happening.
Well, it's funny you say that, because a lot of the migrants that I've interviewed, they have ankle bracelets. They have GPS ankle bracelets on them. They're also given government-issued phones. So to get into your topic about tracking these illegals, they've also given them watches, GPS watches. This is all contractors supplied, right?
Okay.
And billions of dollars spent on ankle bracelets, government phones, and watches. Now, the phones everyone seems to know about is popular with the American people. Those phones are to track these illegals. However, from what the illegals tell me is that once they go to their first court appearance, they have to give those phones back.
All right.
So that's interesting. I thought
you give the phones back. Okay.
Right after their first appearance.
But how do you know that the phone is just for tracking?
Well, that's it has GPS on it. So, but if a terrorist wants to escape, they'll just throw out the phone. And that's what a lot of them do.
Or what if they got rid of the ankle monitor?
And that's what they do. They get rid of the ankle monitor when they're ready to just go into the shadows. So that's an issue with,
I think, yes,
with ICE.
Well, I think another concern too is that so who are the NGOs that are helping these people?
Well, in terms of the NGOs, it's there are dozens of them. This is a well-planned, orchestrated agenda.
When I saw Anthony Rubin's thing on Alex Jones, he talked about how a lot of like the UN and UNICEF and a lot of these big UN-connected groups were actually helping to plan these routes for the migrants as far as Colombia.
Right. Yes. Ecuador.
Yeah.
Let's start from the top. The top is United Nations and the pact that we're in. It's called the Global Compact of Migration.
Okay.
Okay. That's the key. That's the key pact that Trump got us out of, that Obama got us into, and then Biden puts us back into. If we're not in that pact, then we wouldn't have the surges. So to answer your questions, there are dozens of NGOs. The funny thing is that most of them are faith-based organizations, Lutheran churches, Catholic Church, and the Israeli Jewish foundations.
Wait, really? Like,
yeah, it's huge. Yeah, the Jewish Foundation. They're not in San Antonio, so I'm not very familiar with them, but they're in a lot of other cities. And I think the name of the organization is Jewish Foundation of Immigration or something. I have the website on my laptop, but these organizations get hundreds of millions of dollars, in the billions of dollars, to do the dirty work for the government in terms of providing these illegals clothing, food, transportation into the interior. Alex.
Okay, and
yes.
What are the political? Do you know what the political leanings of the people in charge of these organizations are?
Well, they're faith-based. A lot of them are Catholic, God-fearing people, but they're doing this for the dollar, Alex. They're doing this for the dollar, and a lot of them are woke. Blue hair, a volunteer, you know.
Because when I've seen some of your videos confronting people. You're confronting a bunch of these blue-haired like Antifa communist types who happen to be strategically positioned at, in the same ARC type of areas that help process a lot of these migrants.
The American Replacement Center.
Yes,
that's I coined that.
You want to know that? I used to be like a Bernie guy.
I did not know that.
Well, so I was 20. I actually voted for him in both primaries.
Shame on you.
Well, you think so? It's a primary, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I never voted for Hillary Clinton.
Oh, that's good.
Okay.
And she stole it from Bernie.
She did steal from Bernie.
Yeah.
And then Obama helped get Biden to steal from Bernie. Actually, in 2020, he made a phone call, and all the neoliberal candidates dropped out at the same time, except for Elizabeth Warren.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's true.
You didn't know that, did you?
No.
Well, and then it's totally boggled my mind how all these progressive, hardcore Bernie bros, all of a sudden, just like completely forgot about that and just decided that they were going to go do whatever they could to get rid of Trump and vote for Biden when it was their own political party that was actually the most corrupt and against democracy, just based on how they even treated Bernie Sanders.
Exactly.
And even with the COVID policies, all those COVID policies did was help the billionaires that they hate get even richer.
Right.
And so you kind of saw through a lot of who people really were, and it disenfranchised me. And I'm just like, you know what? Like, my view back in 2020 was that I wanted Yang or Tulsi to win, right? But Yang dropped out before I had a chance to vote, and Tulsi had no chance. And I felt as though, and I remember that Tulsi actually was one of the first DNC operatives to endorse Bernie Sanders in 2016.
Yes.
And so I'm like, okay, well, they're kind of similar. I'll just go vote for Bernie Sanders because I feel as though him and Tulsi are similar enough.
Right.
Where it might be okay,
right?
Because you have an actual chance of winning. So let's go.
That's awesome.
Let's go vote for Sanders in this primary and see what happens, right?
Okay.
But my view was that if either Yang, Tulsi, or Bernie didn't win, I was going to either not vote, or just vote for Trump.
Oh, okay.
So my view was always that I wasn't going to ever vote for anybody that wasn't those three people.
Are you going to vote for Trump this year?
Am I going to vote for Trump this year? Well,
2024.
Honestly, you want to know honestly?
I want the truth.
As it stands right now, if DeSantis doesn't win this primary, as it stands right now, I will vote for Kennedy if DeSantis doesn't. Yeah, okay. I will vote for Kennedy if DeSantis does not win that primary.
I like Kennedy on COVID and the vaccine.
I like Kennedy on Bitcoin also. I like Kennedy on the fact that he sued Monsanto and won.
That's good.
I like Kennedy on the fact that he actually calls out the corrupt intelligence agency, and his father and his uncle were both victims of a weaponized government. And there's nobody I would trust more to address that than somebody who actually had family members get affected and killed as a result of a weaponized government.
Where is he? Because the media is like silenced him completely.
Well, the media is also, fun fact, kind of silencing and blacking out DeSantis.
Yeah, DeSantis is definitely getting silenced, but I think. With the polls.
Those polls are about. In the beginning, dude, those polls are about as real as Michelle Obama being a woman.
Right. Iowa caucus just ended.
Well, okay, fine, that's one state. But either way, man, if you're out here trying to fight tyranny and fight the New World Order, and you just give up after one state, well, good luck fighting good luck beating the New World Order. If you're gonna give up that easily, like you may as well just eat bugs and live in a pod. If you're not even gonna even try.
No. Well,
that's my view, bro. Like
I hear you. Listen, I focus on the border, and Trump has a record on the border. He had the lowest amount of illegals in his tenure since 40 years ago.
Okay.
So, so he has a track record.
He does. DeSantis has a track record of keeping his promises.
True.
And DeSantis also has a track record of standing up to government tyranny and being first in the face of unrelenting pressure, which is what he did with COVID. And he was the first governor to ban central bank digital currencies. He's the first governor to say that his state will never honor the WHO pandemic treaty.
That's good.
You want to fight the New World Order? That's the guy. That's my opinion, and especially like you see all the Trump ads, they're talking about DeSantis' shoes. If that's all you got to make fun of somebody is their shoes and their awkward mannerisms.
What's wrong with his shoes?
Well, they say he puts lifts in his shoes. And they're making jokes about his shoes and him being awkward. Well, if that's the most you got to make fun of a guy on,
so does David Portnoy.
Everybody does that, but that's what I'm saying though. It's like if that's all you got to make fun of somebody,
shout out to David.
Well, then we all know that you're not fucking kids on an island in the Caribbean. Right, is how I look at it. Right.
Yeah,
I like him better. I do like that Trump. I do so far like the influence that Vivek is having on Trump in terms of Trump saying that he's going to ban central bank digital currencies on his speech. Good, but let's remember who was first on this.
Ron
Daddy
DeSantis.
DeSantis. That's
Okay.
that's who I think was first. He's the one that started sending illegal immigrants to Martha's Vineyard
Oh, yeah.
right off the bat.
And then Abbott followed. Abbott's always a dollar short and a day late.
Bro, Abbott's the type of guy who cheats on the he's the type of guy that would cheat on Ron DeSantis' test in second grade, sitting next to him and try to say he got the same answers. That's my view.
And he's right over here. His house is right here. The
He is right
governor's
here.
house is 3 miles away.
I know. And then Donald Trump decides to endorse Greg Abbott in the primary over the liberty-focused candidate named Don Huffines, who was pro-Bitcoin
I like
and
Don.
was
I
was
voted
like,
for him.
yeah, so did I.
Yeah.
And was the most vocal against the mandates throughout running.
Yeah.
So
Keep that.
based on what I've shared, I have my reparations, my reservations
Right.
on choosing Trump. Plus, it just feels very cultish at this point. It's like every senator, every politician, every pundit is just saying Trump, 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 Trump. And I'm like, well, if that's the case, bro, then you kind of are the establishment at this
Well,
point.
for me, I just want revenge for what happened in 2020. That's
Good.
The way
So
I
elect the
want
guy that's
fucking
actually capable of
revenge.
governing to get the revenge for you, because the guy who got steamrolled by Dr. Fauci and who got steamrolled by the media and who got a bunch of people to protest on January 6th and threw them under the bus is not going to give you the revenge that you want. If anything, he's going to be a patsy for the next disaster that happens. That is my viewpoint on why I feel this way. But to be fair, though, some of these DeSantis guys are a little bit too mean to the average Trump supporter, and it turns them off. I don't think that's the right approach. I think that my view is I like DeSantis because he's better at putting America first than Donald Trump is, and I think that you should just be able to explain why in a very calm, respectful fashion.
Yeah.
And I think that as long as you're consistent and you hit the message home,
Sure.
that's all that matters, because we all want the same thing, and it's to continue living in the United States. So that's my view. I'm going to be with DeSantis to the end because it's what I believe in, and I'm doing this because I want to live in America, and I'm going to stick to my guns, and that's what it is.
That's fine.
That's what it is.
That's your right.
1,000%.
Awesome.
Straight up. Okay, so we're talking about the border now.
Yes.
We're talking about the border.
Yes.
And what has your experience been like confronting these people?
Well,
And start with the illegals.
Yeah.
And then afterwards talk about how you're confronting the people who operate these organizations.
Well, this here center opened up in July of 2022, so it's going almost on 2 years.
All right.
And when they opened up, everybody was shocked that there was actually the audacity of the government to have a center for illegals, and not only that, but paying for their airline tickets and paying for their food and shelter was really eye-opening for a lot of Americans. They couldn't. We've always had illegals, but never government-sponsored, taxpayer-paid.
Yes. You've never had 10,000 plus military-aged men who are not even from Mexico at this point. When you're seeing the border crossings, you're seeing people from China, from Africa, from places that are not even next to the border, and it feels as though this is being externally funded. We got to understand why it's being externally funded. My view, Hernando.
Sure.
There's three reasons why I think this is the case. Okay, and you're the expert, so if I'm wrong, please correct me.
I'm not an expert, but I have my
you're
opinion.
more experienced than I am.
Yeah.
I'm a guy who's going from watching your videos as well as the videos of other people.
Okay, good.
Okay,
yeah.
So if I'm wrong on anything, please interrupt and correct me. Okay.
Sure.
So the first thing is that Americans are just not having children. Okay. And these Mexican families or the Hispanic the families from Latin America.
Right.
They're having like 7 kids. They reproduce. They're Catholic. They are actually making children. They're doing what we should be doing in America, myself included. Okay.
Yep.
And you need you need to have children at replacement levels to sustain the economy and sustain our workforce and sustain the population. Okay.
Okay. Sure.
Also, with all the SSRIs and all the medications that we're hopping kids on, and all the stimulus and all the, and all the brainwashing in the schools, our next generation of kids are getting so soft that most of us can't even pass physical fitness requirements to even join the military.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Right.
Brings me to my next point. Americans are so disenfranchised with our military as a result of unnecessary wars in Iraq and in the Middle East and anything else that nobody wants to go and fight another foreign war.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But Juan from Venezuela will totally go fight with the Azov battalion if you promise him citizenship. As a result of that, you promise that guy citizenship, then all of a sudden he becomes your police officer, he becomes your politician, he becomes your city council member. And then when you have another emergency like COVID or a cyber attack or another disaster or a couple more mass shootings with the new makeup of the government, well, that guy's going to have absolutely no problem coming to your house to take your guns away from you. That guy's going to have no problems making, checking to see if you're walking around with your government-sanctioned digital identification. He's going to have no problems to make sure that like the tracking device in your car is working, to make sure that you're not exceeding your carbon allowance.
Right.
So that's kind of what I think this is leading to, more than they're taking jobs and this and that. I think that this is a longer play, and it's not even about voting, because like most of these illegals that come here, they're not voting in 2024.
No.
That's not true, and we got to be when we call this illegal immigration thing out, we got to call it out in reality. And this is not about getting votes in the immediate future.
Right.
It's about and it's not about just replacing regular everyday Americans. It's about replacing, my opinion, American soldiers and American law enforcement, so that these people wind up serving the New World Order versus serving the United States and the Constitution.
Well, those are great points. I probably could agree with the military aspect of it, because there was a congressman that actually brought it up.
Yeah, Dick Durbin.
Dick Durbin.
Yeah.
So that he was showing a little ankle there to what the plan was. In terms of the population and the rate of birth, unfortunately, our country has always been a Christian Judeo society since the founding of the fathers. But the fastest religion now is atheism, secularism, paganism, and that's a concern to me, because, like you mentioned, you have the family units being destroyed by the Marxists, and so this surge of the illegals that are coming, yes, the majority of them are Catholic, and they don't believe in 30 and 75 different genders, and they don't believe in what's your pronouns kind of things.
Yeah.
Right. So they are Christian based, and that's probably the only silver lining I see in all of this, is that that they are family oriented people. But we are a country of law and orders, and if we're gonna just let anybody in here, I think long term is gonna create a problem because of the welfare state, especially if they get approved for asylum refugee. Then all these applicants, that the door is open in terms of all the benefits they get, everything: food assistance, rental assistance, social security card. And the list goes on.
Yes, and right now in Austin, they've started rezoning how like single family units for multifamily.
Right. Okay.
And so like imagine if your neighborhood gets rezoned, and all of a sudden now there's like a affordable housing center for illegal immigrants that's right in your community that you didn't vote for or ask for.
That doesn't sound constitutionally
but
legal.
But I could see stuff like that, like kind of not. It's not gonna happen immediately.
Yeah,
but I could see stuff like that kind of start happening within the next 10 years or so.
Well, this is the surge. The 15, 20 million that are here now is created like a third class of citizens, not citizens, but a third class of.
Well, it creates a permanent underclass.
Oh yeah, permanent underclass.
It creates when you create a permanent underclass. The members of the permanent underclass, especially if their situation is better than their home countries, they'll be the most loyal servants of the regime that you're going to find.
Yeah. Well, if we're going to go down the regimes, then yes, hopefully we can reverse that. And that's, the answer to 1984 is 1776, as Alex Jones
as he
famously
says. Says. So when you confront these migrants, are the migrants ever hostile towards you?
No.
They're not, right?
No.
Well, what's their attitude when they come when you talk to them?
So the illegals that I get, I don't call them migrants, because migrants has
illegal alien invaders is the right term. Okay.
Yeah. Migrants has a term that the Custom Border Patrol and ICE uses when a migrant comes here for a certain period of time and then go back. Yeah. It's a set, and it's like a visa. Okay. So anyway, when these illegals come here, they're not hostile to me. They all come because my sector is coming through the death train from Tapachulo, Mexico, all the way to Piedras Negras, Mexico. Mm-hmm. So to answer your question, Alex, all the illegals I don't get Chinese, I don't get Arabs, I don't get none of that stuff. I don't get Africans. I'm getting the poor of the poor in San Antonio.
Okay.
It's 45% Venezuelans, and the others are South Americans and Central Americans, and they're all coming here for work, and they love Biden.
Do they love Biden?
Yeah, they love Biden. I've taken polls outside the center.
You ask them who you're voting for, and you can speak Spanish, so you understand what they're saying. So
80 to 90% is Biden.
Okay. But they're not going to go. Are you worried about them voting for Joe Biden
not
in 2024?
Now, but eventually, yes. In the next 5-10 years, yes.
If there's some way to expedite citizenship.
They're doing that already in California and New York.
How are they expediting?
In Arizona.
What are they doing specifically?
Arizona, I saw the website says that if you don't have any citizen documentation, or you're not, whatever the term they use, then you cannot vote for local elections, but you can vote for federal elections. A non-citizen can vote for federal elections. It's right there in Arizona.
You can vote. A non-citizen can vote in federal elections. Well,
Only.
that sounds a little bit.
Yeah, that's odd. And that's Arizona. I mean, Arizona was a purple state until the last election. But
Well, it's still. I mean, look. I think governing-wise, I think that's just in Phoenix, right? In a couple cities.
Well,
but
it's the state.
Yeah, Arizona has a Republican legislative body, but a Democrat governor.
right. And Carrie Lake will be the vice president for Trump.
Oh God, dude! If Carrie Lake
That's
comes
my pick.
Well,
that's my hypothesis.
Yeah, enjoy your social credit score if that's the case, because he's gonna get steamrolled with these people.
I think Carrie Lake and Trump is
They're
the
gonna
winning
get
ticket.
bro. They're gonna get steamrolled.
By
You
who?
know that by Biden or whoever replaces
Biden
Biden.
can't even get out of bed.
It
Anyway,
doesn't-
let's stay on topic.
We'll stay on topic, or we'll talk about this at the end. But this is like,
I just had to put it out there. That's my VP choice. Okay, that's just my opinion. That's all.
you know what?
Moving on.
We'll see. I like Vivek. If he picked Vivek, I might actually consider going back.
Right.
If he picked Vivek,
Right.
I would.
Okay. I like Vivek.
I like Vivek.
I like Vivek.
I
Yeah,
do.
he's a good
I
guy.
don't know if I fully trust him.
No, I didn't either. I got one eye open with him, just like I do with Elon Musk.
Everybody, I have one eye open.
Both Elon Musk and Vivek.
Do you have one eye open with Trump?
No.
What?
No, him and I are from the same neighborhood. He got me into real estate 30 years ago when I read his book. I have a history with Donald Trump.
You
Goes
met him
back-
personally?
Yes, in New York City.
Really?
Yeah.
So what was he like when you met him?
Well, he lived in Trump Towers,
Okay.
and my protege lived across the street. His name is Carl Sen. Shout out to Carl Sen.
All right.
And they used to, have dinners together at Club 21
Okay.
and things like that. So, yeah, I've met him a few times when I was a young man. And he's, in New York City, he's always been a legend in New York. People love him. Everybody,
They
the
used to love
black,
him
the
back
white,
then.
the
Yeah,
Jew,
yeah.
the Chinese, everybody loved Trump
Yeah.
until he ran for president. And that's when they call him a racist. So, not to get off topic, but yeah.
All right. Well, I didn't know. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I know that he defended Mike Tyson back when he was accused
Yeah.
of falsely accused of raping that chick.
He's
back
done a
in the
lot of
90s,
he's done a
so-
lot of great things.
Like,
You know
you
about
know-
that homeless woman that lives in one of his hotels? Did
No,
you hear
I
that story?
did not hear that story.
Yeah, there's a true story, bro. This freaking homeless lady years ago got into, I don't know, got into a hotel room. She kind of like, stayed there. What do you call it, squatters?
Yeah.
He finds out. He goes visit her at the room, and she tells him his story. She's still there, as far as I know, not paying any rent. She's just stays. So. That's the kind of things he does that he doesn't get credit for. He doesn't even want the credit. He just does it on the down low.
Well, it's also good that we had we didn't have any new foreign wars while he was president.
Yeah,
That's a
we
good
had peace
thing.
and prosperity.
Well, we had more peace than in the past.
Yeah.
We're still doing a lot of stuff
Don't
in
get me
Yemen and
started.
everything. But
Yes.
it was better.
Yeah.
There were a lot of things that were better.
But he has a track record, and it worked.
In some cases, in some cases. Okay.
All right.
But you've never had a hostile interaction confronting
No.
the
No.
Hispanics.
No, they're very nice to me, and they open up to me, and they all want to hear they want to share their story.
Which is crazy
Yeah.
because do you think they would share their story if they knew who you were or what you were doing?
A lot of them know that they know me. When these migrants are there, usually for 2 or 3 weeks, and then they ship them off. But a lot of them know me. They call me by my name. They call me the Colombianos here. They know what I do.
Okay.
You know?
How do you establish trust with them? Because I think that if you're going to actually if you're actually going to expose a lot of what's happening,
Right.
it's like Alex Rosen. He establishes trust with these fucking freaks that he catches, and then he gets them thrown away. I think that a lot of people, more people should do what you're doing.
Right.
Okay, but if you're going to do it, you got to do it correctly.
Right.
And part of doing it correctly means establishing trust and getting them to open up and communicate so that you share this with the general public.
Yeah.
How do you establish trust with these migrants that you speak to?
I just be honest with them and talk to them like human beings. In the beginning, I would get mad at them and upset that they're here. I quickly realized that when I started documenting and giving it out to the public, that's not the right approach. And there are some guys out there that do that. They get very aggressive with these illegals. That's not the right approach. You don't want to hand them freebie stuff or money, no. But you just want to get their side of the story. And because my viewers always ask me, ask him this, ask him that. You know how viewers are.
Yeah.
They try to tell you how to do your job. And for me, that's like the most. Okay, this is my show, not yours. But these Americans have questions, and they want me to ask these illegals these questions, and I do. I ask these people, why did you come? What if there's no job for you in Chicago? They don't want you here, and they still want to come. However, when I do interview them, I ask them, would you take this journey again? And they all say no. They would not do it again. But they say when they did it, it was possible, and they all have a faith in God that they got them through this, which is really odd that they say that, Yeah. But, we talk about the NGOs and how ruthless they are with me.
Yeah. So how is that?
Well, all right. Well, they tried to firebomb my car last month.
Really?
Yeah.
Explain that story.
I have a nice car. It was 2:00 in the morning. Now, I'm there all kind of hours by myself, by the way.
Yeah.
I have no one watching my six. It's very dark over there at night. And there's a woman NGO that works there. I know her face. I don't know her name. She's always giving me attitude and yelling at me. The first time she threw a bottle of soda in my car, and I know it was her when when they get out of shift, when they change shifts. This evening, she saw me and started giving me lip again. So what happened was she texted her boyfriend who was waiting for her at the parking lot where I have my car and where he waits for her, and she probably texted him, "Yo, that's the black Cadillac. Go do some damage to him." And he parked really close to my car, and I didn't put one and one together at the time. It was a red pickup truck. And next thing you know, I go to my car when I finish my footage, and there's gasoline poured all over it, and he's on the other side of the parking lot smiling and laughing and drives away. So I don't have any footage of him doing it, but I know it was them. And they were maybe ready to blow it up. I don't know, but you don't pour gasoline on a man's Cadillac.
No, you definitely do not do that. But why would they be so threatened by you?
They're just very angry when I point the camera at them. They must be doing something wrong. And there's multiple NGOs like that. I ask them questions like, how many children have you guys lost in this center? Because there's hundreds of thousands of children that have been missing by HHS numbers, Office of Refugee Resettlement. They can't track them.
And they can't. Are they unable to track them because they couldn't process them when they crossed, or are they unable to track them after they've been processed?
After they've been processed, they can't track them.
And you can map out that they've been processed through these areas.
Yeah, well, every area. I mean, there's 350 camps, I call them, that house children in this country. Most of them are in Texas. 250,000 of them, 250 of them are in Texas.
Okay.
That house children.
They house children. And
illegal children.
Yeah, and so you can gather data as to how many of these children have been have gone missing, and by figuring out the missing children, you could kind of gather where they passed through. Mm-hmm. I think that's very reasonable to ask the organizations that shelter these children what happened to them, because maybe the children were there and they passed through that organization, right? Like maybe the children were fine in that organization, and then you could say, okay, well, they were there with us. You should check the next organization. Here's a document.
Once they hand them off to their family or sponsors, the government is hands off. They don't have any more responsibility. They hand it off to the state wherever the kid went.
But how do you even know who the sponsor is? The sponsor could be some sex trafficker.
So the numbers is over 90% of these sponsors / family members that get these children, unaccompanied children from the border, are illegal aliens. Over 90%
of the sponsors.
Of the sponsors are illegals. So illegals are sponsoring other illegals.
How is that allowed?
It's harder to get a dog in America with the ASPCA today than it is a child from the government.
So, which makes no sense, right? Because if you're going to do this intelligently, you shouldn't have illegal immigrants helping to transport other illegal immigrants through a government program. At the very least, it should just be U.S. citizens trying to make sure they're safe, right?
That's what happens when you break one law. You're going to continue to break more laws. I mean, this is not even breaking the law. This is government policy. By the way, the federal government was trying to make it easier for them to process these children. Thank God. Shout out to Tara Rodas and her organization. Because I think they stopped that. But listen, when a child is transferred to a sponsor, the sponsor does not have to give proof of address. There is no Zoom call. There's no background check. There's no fingerprint check. They don't even have a permanent address. That's why it's easier to get a dog than it is to get a child from this government today, which is sad state of affairs. There's over 85,000 missing children. However, that's not including the census, the fiscal year for 2023. So most experts say the number is really 150,000 up to 300,000 that are missing. And when I say missing, the government puts in one phone call after they've been sent to the sponsor. One phone call, that's all. They put in a call. If no one picks up that call, they're missing. That's when I say missing, that's what I mean. There is no second call. There is no knock on the door. How's the kid doing with like CPS? Nothing. There was just one call. And if that call was not picked up, it goes to the column of the 85,000 missing children. You follow me, Alex?
I follow you.
Okay, cool. So that's the status, and it's unfortunate that we are the number one human trafficking country in the world, and it's paid by your tax dollars.
And so how do we fix this?
Secure the border.
Okay.
So easy.
secure the border, but
Yeah.
what about all of the people that have come in
Well, that's gonna be a
already?
problem.
How do we reverse what happened these past 3 years?
Well, I can tell you first off, I know who's going to do it right, okay? But you're going to have the first phase is going to be self-deportation, and it was done during Eisenhower when he deported millions. There's a lot of illegals here that are not very happy that they're here now because they were promised the honey and fruits and paradise. They're living in the streets of New York City and Chicago, 0-degree weather. So there's a large percentage, I would probably put it 20% or more, 25%, that want to go back home. Number one, that's first phase, self-deportation. Second phase is, we're going to have a massive crackdown on these illegals. And they're not going to be hard to find because they're in every Home Depot at 8 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning at Home Depot looking for work. And then they have the phones, so you can check them through the phones and the ankle bracelets. But it's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy. It's going to cost a lot of money. And people are going to die, unfortunately, doing it.
Well, also, if you happen to get arrested and you're an illegal, immediate deportation.
Well, that's the new law that Abbott signed. Just a month ago, he signed 3-part law. However, if you're an illegal and you commit a felony, not a misdemeanor, it's got to be a felony, and you're an illegal, yes, you get deported. But how many times have we seen, Alex, where people are deported 5 times and they're back in the country? We've seen that hundreds of times. And so the border is porous. We cannot have that anymore. But, this is going to be a reckoning to get out 30 million. I don't know how many. Listen, they've been saying that there's 11 million illegals in our country. They've been saying that for 20 years. The number is probably double that. So my numbers is that there were at least 20 to 30 illegals before the surge of Biden regime. Now we have another 15. I'm putting the number around 40 to 50 million illegals.
Well, I think that what you have to do is you just have to make it really uncomfortable for employers to want to hire them.
Well,
and when you disincentivize employers from hiring them, you make it harder for them to acclimate and be in this country if they're not doing it correctly, and you make them want to self-deport.
Well, that's E-Verify, but they
Maybe,
never enforce it.
Okay, but then if you do E-Verify, that's also another stepping stone towards digital ID.
Yeah.
I feel as though if you have a company, right, and you're going to hire somebody, you just got to check citizenship. Like, you have to just make sure that they are in this country legally before you hire somebody. And if you're hiring somebody who's an illegal alien, you should be fined substantially. Or even if you're even if you're driving somebody from point A to point B, and you're not like an Uber driver or a taxi, or you're not like a bus driver or something like that, or your job is not transportation, you should get fined for transporting illegal aliens.
They used to do that here in Austin. They used to do that. They used to go to what kind of operations? I think different type of organizations, businesses, and they used to check these people for ID, and they didn't. The ICE was there; they would just take them. It's called INS back then, Immigration Naturalization Services. But they don't do it no more. We don't. Listen, they keep saying the immigration law is broken, especially the left. Oh, immigration law is not broken. It's not broken. There are so many laws in the books; they're just not being enforced. We need to enforce these laws. It's not broken. They say it's broken because they want to throw in amnesty for all these illegals, and we're not going to have that. We're not going to give amnesty to 30 million people. Sorry.
Because amnesty also destroys elections, right?
Yeah.
You, as a result of that, considering what's happened, you bring back COVID fascism and other types of digital fascism. You drag queen story hour becomes commonplace because the people that the people that support the influx of illegals also support these policies, and the illegal that comes here is going to vote for the guy that let them in the country. That's kind of natural, even though they may have different belief systems. It's just what it is. So that is something that should get.
And let me say one more thing about these NGOs. The left always say separation of church and state, right? Separation of church and state, Alex.
Yeah.
This whole invasion is run by church, nonprofit church, and the state, the federal government. So where is the left saying we want a separation of church and state when this whole invasion is orchestrated by the church and the state? That's the irony of it. Don't you see the irony of that?
Well, there's a lot of irony everywhere.
There sure is.
There's a lot of irony.
And the irony is I get arrested for criminal trespassing on a public airport for documenting illegals coming off a bus.
Oh, yeah, you did.
They don't.
So you got arrested trying to film illegals at an airport?
Public airport, San Antonio.
So what was happening there in the airport?
So the story goes back 2 weeks prior to my official arrest.
Okay.
I was at the American Replacement Center at 2 in the morning,
All right.
and I saw something very unusual in my car. I saw a bus, and the illegals were not getting off the bus; they were getting in the bus at 2 in the morning. I'm like, where are they going on a bus at 2 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
McDonald's or something. So I followed the bus, and it led to the hangar behind the San Antonio airport. A hangar that's not fitted for people to be sleeping in, where they house 300 illegals.
Okay.
And they used the hangar as a depot overflow to then take them to the airport. So when I was there with my iPhone, and I got out of my vehicle, they called the police, and they wouldn't let the illegals get off the bus into the hangar. I was like, well, that's very weird. Something is not going. And I have it on tape saying, so you're doing something illegal here because you're not letting these illegals off the bus. And they just kept, they had me for like an hour there. Finally, the airport duty manager came and said, you're trespassing on private property. I'm on a public street.
Okay.
And you've been warned. Get out of here. And the police pretty much told me to get the fuck out of here. And I did. I left peacefully. I'm not going to cause a problem. And 2 weeks, that was an unlawful warning, by the way, because I'm on a public street.
Okay.
So 2 weeks later, again, I'm at the center. I see a bus loading up. Where are they going? I don't know. Follow them. I followed them to the airport terminal, right, where you drop off your family, right, for Thanksgiving, right? And that's where the police were waiting for me. They called it in that I was following the bus, and they arrested me and shackled me for 26 hours in Bexar County Jail, downtown San Antonio. And I was given a criminal trespassing on private property court date. It's been postponed 3 times already, Alex. So I've got the scars. I've got my battle scars. They also, almost firebombed my vehicle, and they also ran me off the road one time following one of those vans with illegals. So I've had some.
They rammed you off the road.
Yeah.
So another truck just tried to throw you off the
a van full of illegals. They cut me off, and I went flying into a side of the highway on 35. So
are you okay? Anything happened to you?
My vehicle is a little fucked up, but yeah, I've got some damages, so $5,000 in damages. So this is what happens when you expose evil, because this is a battle between good and evil.
Do these organizations have headquarters and offices in Austin?
Yes, Endeavors. They're on Guadalupe Street.
Endeavors.
The headquarters. And that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be going offense this year. We're going to be going after these NGOs, and we're going to get in their faces, especially these executives that are making six-figure salaries.
I think you should. And you should be very respectful and ask a series of basic
questions.
questions.
We plan on doing that.
So are you facing jail time with this trespassing, or is it kind of like a fine?
You could do jail time if they find you guilty. I got a DA, district attorney named Joe Gonzalez, who's everybody knows he's bought and paid for by George Soros.
Yeah.
And so he hasn't dismissed the case yet. He hasn't dropped charges, nothing. Thank God I got a good lawyer. Mark LaHood, who's running for office. And so he's my representative. He's representing me. And so I also have a give, send, go because I have legal costs. So if
Are you doing okay with that?
I'm doing okay, It's these things cost money, and I have to buy equipment for my videos that I do. I try to give my followers the best quality
footage. Yeah,
footage,
of course. So
yeah.
What are you facing?
I think if you're the max is 5 years in jail
For criminal trespassing?
or no, sorry, 5 years probation, 6 months in jail, and
Okay.
a $5,000 fine, something like that. It's
They're
a misdemeanor.
They're probably not going to give you jail time.
Who knows? I mean, they're persecuting me like they're persecuting Trump.
It's crazy. So they are
persecuting.
Wow, and they're prosecuting you for filming on a public street.
Yeah, on a public terminal.
So
I have it on film. I got everything on film, guy.
So I mean, it seems like it should be a pretty.
It should have went.
Right?
It should have went viral. You ask me. But who else has been arrested for filming on a public airport?
So yeah, should have gone viral. So who have you sent that video, the footage to? Have you sent any of these to people privately?
Like major journalist networks.
Yeah, like Fox.
I was on Glenn Beck's. I've been on a lot. Alex Jones. I was on Alex Jones a few times. I've been on some good shows, but I just don't see it. No one's talking about it. That this is what happens. This is the police state, like Denis D'Souza says in his poster. Are you next?
Sure.
I was next.
Okay, hold on. Because we're talking about a weaponized justice system, right?
Yeah.
And I think that if you're going to be doing what you're doing, you're putting yourself out there. You want to be reciprocated, or at least know that these people are going to help. The people that are on our side are going to have your back and help you. Okay? So the reason I'm asking this is because I was wondering, have you sent any of this to – and you've been on some shows, which is good. But, I send my footage to big account. Whenever I troll city council or do whatever I do, I always send it to big accounts just because I'm like – if I feel like –
tag them?
No, I just private message.
DM them?
Yeah, DM the video, right? Have you ever DM'd anybody on have you ever DM'd Trump Jr. or anybody or any of the people connected to the Trump campaign?
No.
What you?
No. Didn't even cross my mind.
I would do that. I would start doing that, right?
All right.
And you'll get to see through my hypothesis is that you're not going to get a response.
Well, that's what
through the lack of communication, you're going to start realizing that maybe these people don't actually have your back.
Right.
That's how I view this.
Right.
I have a friend named Joey Lynn Massaros. She was driving a truck with a Donald Trump sticker next to a Biden tour bus in San Marcos, Texas, in October of 2020. Okay?
Yeah.
She's getting sued by Joe Biden under the Ku Klux Klan Act.
Oh.
All right?
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I remember that.
I
remember that
How
episode.
much money has Donald Trump donated to help Joey Lynn?
Joey who?
My friend Joey Lynn.
0.
Okay, 0. How many tweets or Truth Social posts has anybody has hit either him or anybody on his team made to help this lady?
0.
0. Owen Schroyer had to do 2 months in jail for what he did on January 6th.
It wasn't
Did
his
Donald
show.
Trump help him in any capacity?
No.
No. Okay. Alex Jones got deplatformed from Twitter in 2018, 2019.
Right, 18.
Who was the president when Alex Jones?
Trump.
Yeah. Okay. Who was the president when the government started doing gain-of-function research experiments back in 2017?
Trump. Gain of function, yeah. I see what you're getting at.
You trust this? Are we really?
Let's add the J6.
J6.
Let's add the J6.
At J6.
He's been silent.
He's been silent.
That's
All he
a
had to
problem
do,
with me.
he could have held one rally, done tweeted one thing, done tweeted one GoFundMe,
I
never
don't like
did
that.
anything.
I
We
don't
really
like that.
really want to put our hat and all of our weight behind that guy when there is a better choice out there.
Well, I don't like that, and I don't like the Operation
Warp Speed?
Warp Speed. I don't
With
like
the
that.
clot shot?
I didn't take the clot job.
No, I didn't either.
Yeah.
But I identify as someone who took the clot
Good for
shot
you.
because this is about
Hey, listen,
inclusion.
he's not perfect. I'm not one of those, cult members where he, kiss his ass. No, there's certain things that I don't like he did, but overall, I just think he's the best man for the job.
Overall, I personally love having you on the show,
all right.
but I feel as though with everything that we're mentioning,
Yeah.
I think that DeSantis is a better choice, and for Trump to win my vote back, he has to be more like DeSantis.
Okay.
That's what I think. I think he has to be more like DeSantis and show that you are actually serious about taking the actions that you want the people who voted for you risk their lives, risk their political futures for, risk their financial futures for, risk the standing of their families and friendships for. You got to prove that you actually care about these people who sacrificed what they sacrificed to voice their support for you.
Okay.
And I feel as though that guy whose name you have on your hat has not done that yet. And he has till November to try and do that.
True.
That's my viewpoint.
Well, we shall see it.
We shall see, but we should be pressuring him in the most loving way possible to actually do that. And while there's still an opportunity, there is a better candidate, and we should, my opinion, at the very least, give the better candidate a chance.
Okay.
That's my view.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Let the best man win.
Let the best man win
Alex,
in a fair election.
I want
go.
fair elections. I just hope they don't assassinate him.
Well, shit, that's another reason why DeSantis has to stay in. Because imagine.
That's why he is staying in.
Imagine if he drops out. God forbid, imagine if he drops out, right? And it's between Trump and Haley, and they do throw him in jail or do some pulling Kennedy on him. Who are you going to get stuck with? Nikki Haley. DeSantis staying in, even if it comes in second, it ensures that they can't do this shit. So all the attacks on DeSantis, even if you don't like him and you like Trump better, that's your choice. I get it. It's okay.
Right.
You can't. If you tell him to drop out, you're an idiot. My view.
No, he needs to stand there as an insurance policy
he's got to stay
against Trump's
life. At the very least, I think he's a better candidate, but at the very least, he's got to stay. He's got to stay and do his best.
Is this an orange or a tomato?
It could be whatever you want. It's fruit fluid. I feel like it's a tomato, but it could identify as an orange. Before we get before we wrap up, tell me about the badge that you got.
So I'm wearing this badge here. It says S stands for Suspendables.
Yeah.
The Suspendables is part of an organization started with Kyle Seraphin. Shout out to him. Shout out to Ryan Mata and all these Suspendables out there. Tara Rodas and Stevenson. Stevenson is a great man as well. So there's dozens of these guys that have been that lost their job, their careers in government because they're whistleblowers and they're standing up for truth. And they're standing up for justice, Alex.
Okay. And what are they exactly exposing? Are they like Seth Rich with the laptop? But what are they exactly specifically exposing?
So with Kyle Seraphin, he was exposing the J6 episodes with the FBI. They were targeting regular Americans, patriots that were there in Washington D.C. not doing anything wrong.
Not doing anything wrong. Yeah.
So that's what he was targeting. Tara Rodas and Stevenson, they were exposing the NGOs and these children camps where where children are being sexually abused and trafficked to tri-national organizations all over the world. All over the world. It's happening right now as we speak. There's thousands of children being held at these camps. They're kidnapped, and they're selling to the highest bidder.
Crazy. Well,
Yep.
I'm glad that you're getting their stories out.
Yep.
Hernando, how do we get a hold of you?
You can follow me on XX. It's my name, Hernando Arce, just so you see it below, typed, right?
Okay.
And on IG, Hernando_Patriot. Because I
like
do this
that.
for God and country,
Okay.
as I in all my videos, for God and country.
Any other? You got a Rumble channel?
Yes, Hernando Arce on Rumble.
Okay. And your Give Send Go. What's the link to your Give Send?
Hernando Arce.
Give Send Go, Hernando Arce.
Any
Okay.
donation will be appreciated. I don't do this for clicks. I don't do. I've made $1.50 on Rumble. I don't do this. I do this part
I do
time.
this because I want to live in the United States. I don't want to eat bugs and live in a pot or have a social credit score.
Yeah, that's a good reason.
Which also means that I'm going to say what I'm saying for the right reasons, and everybody who's in this field should be doing this for
That's
the right
right.
reasons.
And I
in
got
good faith,
loyal followers. My followers are so proactive. They share so much of my content. It's amazing. My followers know. They could tell when you're fake, man.
People can tell.
Yeah, they could tell. So keep it real. My followers know I'm legit. I'm not doing this for fame or nothing like that.
You got to keep it real. You got to do this because
Yeah.
you want to do. There are way better ways to make money and way better way. Honestly, if I put all my effort that I put into this to just giving pedicab rides, I would have a lot more money.
Do I get a pedicab ride today?
Yeah, you want to ride anywhere?
Back to my car.
Yeah, I got you.
Just kidding.
I'll give you. No, listen,
All
you
right,
can hear my
let's
rap
do it.
songs. It'll be fun. Hernando, thank you for coming on.
All right, man. Thank you.
All right.
Alex,
Yes,
great
sir.
pleasure.
Let's
Thank
go.
you.
All right.
Awesome.
We got to wait for
Excited.
Gary.